And I know that Sally's story will inspire people and help people. Welcome to the channel and thank you. Today I'm so blessed to have Sally with me, who's going to tell her story about the menopause. For me, being a dinosaur, being male and 52 years young, in fact, no, I'm sorry, I'm 53 now. It's going to be an interesting story. And I know that Sally's story will inspire people and help people. And I'm so pleased that she's here with me today. Sally, welcome.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It's more, how are you? Because I know you're a little bit nervous and I know you've got your lovely friend with you, Lisa, who's your agent, making sure you're looking amazing, which you do. Thank you so much for coming onto the channel, sharing your story. My limited knowledge of the menopause is that the average age of menopause is 51 years young. And I know for you that you spent 10, 15 years of hell with your story. So where do you want to start?
Yeah, so menopause, what a minefield it is. I was probably in my late 20s, early 30s, when I just noticed subtle changes to my body, lots of just very mild symptoms coming in. Didn't think anything of it because it's not something you talk about, especially when you're that age. Obviously, when you're in your 30s, it's the prime of your life.
So this was late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
You started to notice changes in your body and how you felt as a person.
But they were so mild that you didn't realise it was menopause because it could have been a number of other things as well, you know, life in general. But yeah, when I look back on it, like it was so clear to see. Through those, I'm 44 now, so through those years, I'd had gone to the doctor a few times and said, look, things aren't quite right here. And it was just like, have some antidepressants, which I've never been depressed, go out walking more. So I was trying to do all these kind of life balance and life enhancing skills. A couple of years ago, before I got injured, I was doing some spinning classes. I was really into that. Prior to that, I was going running, and as you can see, I'm built for comfort, not for speed, but I like that challenge. So I did take their advice, and then as time went on, things...
So how long were you following the advice of get on with it because you don't fit the box of normally with a diagnosis from medical perspectives? I understand GPs do an amazing job, but they are just that. They're trained in a pathway just to look at certain things. And if you're too young, too old, too thin, too fat, whatever the description is, don't get diagnosed or you don't even think about it.
Yeah, and I think as well, just today's society, living in today's society, life's tough. We work very hard. I've always worked full time. My career's always been the first and forefront. You just put it down to stress and life in general. But it gradually got worse. And of course, as time went on, I couldn't speak to my friends. Why would I want to speak to my friends? Because...
That's so sad though, that for me, you were struggling and having challenges, yet you didn't know who to talk to.
Yeah, didn't know who to talk to, but also just presumed that it was normal. Going through those kind of symptoms, and you hear the word menopause, it's classed as the change for women who are in their 50s, who have had their families, had their life, if you just want to settle down by the fire. So it's always been that kind of stigma attached to it. It was happening to me. And whilst I did have concerns, like I said, I was going to the GP, I just still didn't actually realise until 2 years ago when I actually had a formal diagnosis, which was a bit of a shock, let's say.
So you had a decade, more than a decade of challenging life living with the menopause, and was it pre-menopause, post-menopause? Educate me, because I'm a dinosaur, so this is something I've never spoken about, never thought about, so you educate me and other people, because so many people won't know.
Yes, with perimenopause and menopause, I can't actually tell you when the kind of change, when I started peri and when I went into post, because when I got diagnosed 2 years ago, I was actually post, which was a huge shock to me, like huge shock. At the time of my life now, I have got friends and what have you are starting to go through these kind of subtle changes, and because it's generally more talked about, and why I'm here today to get people talking about it, is you just have to, you start realising actually this is happening, this is real. Yeah, and the symptoms, as you can see, I've written a list because there is so many so many to think of, and actually now I'm in a good place and on HRT. And
do you want your coffee,
like
by
Sally,
the way?
Oh yeah,
have your coffee. This always helps.
Having all these symptoms and realising what they all were, because when you put them all together and then you look at a menopause symptoms website, The proof was in the pudding, but it just happened so casually.
Is there any, I mean, I've got no idea. So for me, you know, I've had a journey and didn't know who to talk to, and that upsets me to hear that you also had your journey and you didn't know who to talk to or your friends. And when you're struggling or you're challenged,
the thing is, you feel that you're failing in life because you're feeling like this. You feel a failure. One of the more like in recent years was brain fog, which was probably my biggest and worst symptom. I was forgetting everything. I couldn't remember conversations that I'd had. One of my friends actually said to me one day, "Yeah, Sally, you told me about this earlier," and I was like, "Did I?" And that I noticed that, and then also my work. My managers at work noticed it as well, because I go, "Sally, we talked about this the other day. You said you were going to put a note in the diary," and I'm like, "Did we?"
wow.
And that still happens from time to time now. I call it a brain fart, and I think we're all guilty of brain farts from time to time. And actually now, because obviously I've got people around me who obviously know what I'm going through, and are going through the same kind of thing as well, some of them, we just laugh about it, and that's the best way to do it, is just laugh at it, just go, brain fart.
But to have challenges and not know what you were dealing with and then trying to find solutions, how did you cope?
I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't. I got worse. I didn't recognise myself. I was just vile, really vile. And I grieved for the Sally I used to be. Like, where the bloody hell is she gone? What's going on? And I tried, okay, like I say, with health and being and all the rest, I really invested time and money to get myself. And I was fighting a losing cause.
But so how long, so it took you until 2 years ago. So we're talking late 20s, early 30s to being 44 years young, did you say? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm 44 now, so like my 40s, yeah, 40, 41. When
so you had 10 years of coming, 10 years of kind of not knowing what it was and feeling lost, confused, ill.
Yeah, and it was getting worse and worse and worse all the time.
And what sort of symptoms were you having?
So in the early days, like in my kind of early 20s, I was just...
Late 20s or early 20s?
Yeah, late 20s.
Late 20s, sorry. Okay.
I just started to feel very tired. I've always struggled with my weight, so I was like, just put it down to being...
Yeah, but you're tall, you're lovely and tall, so, you know, if you're tall, on you when you're tall. I'd lost my libido, which... something very strange to happen when you're that age. Also in my 30s, I got married, I bought a house, all that kind of exciting stuff, like life events were happening. Yeah. And I was just slipping, and I questioned everything in my life, from my job to my home to living in Guernsey to what am I doing? Where do I want to be? Like, my husband, he said to me many years ago, I was just in the car driving home from work, and he said, "Good day," and I said, "I'm going to move to Toronto." And he just burst out laughing. But I actually, at the time, meant I was going to move. And he said, "Sally, you hate the cold. You hate the snow. You want the sun." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm going to Toronto." And that's the craziness, though. Because at the time, just went into my head, I'm going to move to Toronto. And I was on the internet that night, Googling Toronto. Wow. Bizarre. When I look back on it, crazy. Crazy. I mean, my daughter was having psychotic episodes when she was unwell, and the standard response we were getting was medication, and I didn't want to medicate my daughter. But did you have the same challenge? What was the advice you were getting during?
Yeah, so probably about when I was 35-ish, round about then, again, I went back to the doctor. And I said, look, at this stage I was starting to skip periods, and because I was on the pill, and on that week's break I wasn't having my monthly all the time, which was a bit bizarre because I was always like really regular. So this happened for about 6-8 months. So I went to the doctor and I said, look, I've stopped taking it. I said, because the pill. I said, because I am missing my periods. And she said, no, you're just stressed. It's just stress and life. Go back on your pill and that will be your kind of hormone. You need those hormones. And I was like, okay, so I did. And then it just went, I never had a period again on the pill. So fast forward to the kind of official diagnosis, a couple of years ago, I had to have some shoulder surgery, and I'm really terrible with anaesthetic, always. I'm type 1 diabetic as well, which doesn't help the cause. One of my main symptoms of anaesthetic is I can't wee after, and my bladder just retains urine, so I have to go on a catheter. So that's another story. But they said to me, have you ever been to see a specialist about this? And I was like, no. And they were like asking all these questions, how often do you wee, how much do you drink, all those kind of urology questions. And I drink normally like everybody else, and I was like passing really small amounts of urine, like they were measuring it, measuring it. And then they referred me to a urologist who did some kind of further examination, and they went up to my urethra with a camera to see that everything was, there wasn't anything blocking for me to be able to wee. And I remember watching it because I love stuff like that. I love medical stuff. Unlike you, probably.
I'm not good. I need a bucket if you start talking about blood. I'll be passing out.
And I remember this camera going, I'm looking on the big screen, and it looked really weird. It looked like a beanstalk, like these little kind of bobbly bits and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Anyway, went to the consultation after to get the kind of outcome of it. And I said to him, well, why does it look like, is it normally like that? Is it like, and he just went, it's age.
Wow.
And I went, age? And the penny still didn't drop, the penny. And I was like, oh God, I've got an old bladder. What am I going to be wearing tenner ladies in 10 years? So I was really panicking because the anxiety with this menopause journey as well was rough. And he just said to me very gently, he said, Sally, I'm going to refer you to my colleague who's a gynaecologist, Varney Ramalingam, at the medical specialist group in Guernsey. Went to see her, and she just saved my life. I owe her my life, quite frankly. And she took some blood tests, a little bit more deeper than what the GPs would do, because I've had that before as well, which was to no avail. And I get called back with a harrowing diagnosis, you're postmenopause. So thank goodness that anaesthetic doesn't agree with me. Thank goodness I got referred to the urologist, and thank goodness I got in front of Varney at the MSG.
Wow. You could have been tested before? So you were tested, you had blood tests, which is just a general blood test.
The doctors tend to do the FSH blood test, which is follicle stimulating hormone. And I don't know too much about it, so don't quote me on this, but what I believe is it just gives you a capture of that moment. So the last one I had, which was 2 months before my official diagnosis and only 8 weeks, said I just was told I was on the wrong side of normal. Whereas when I had the, I think it's LH blood test with MSG with Varney, it gives them a bit of a deeper.
So you could have had a more thorough, in-depth blood test before, possibly, that could have highlighted.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it was happening, it was very evident. The fact I was post-menopause and it was never picked up in the past says it all, doesn't it?
So you had 10 years of slowly not being yourself.
Mentally and physically.
And not being able to find answers.
Yeah.
To then...
And realise, thinking it was just normal.
So you went through the whole menopause journey not knowing that it was that.
Yeah.
To end up being diagnosed as post-menopausal.
Yeah.
To today.
Yeah. And then it gets worse because I've since had complications, and earlier this year, January this year, I had to have a hysterectomy. So that just adding fuel to the fire. Of course, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to do it twofold. That's me all over. So yeah, I've been on a massive journey, and those symptoms, dealing with those symptoms. In the last couple of years, I've changed jobs. I lost my father. I lost my dog. Just life stresses. So it's been really tough.
Wow.
Really tough dealing with that.
But are you talking more to people about things now? How did that start?
Yeah.
I mean,
if you'd asked me to do this a year ago, I would have laughed and shut my door in front of you, because honestly, I was like, sorry, that's my insulin pump. I'll start again.
Don't worry.
If you were to have asked me to do this chat a year ago, I would have gone, no bloody way, no way. Because talking on a channel to a guy who I don't know that well, but the one thing for me, and something that with my work, we are very kind of menopause aware, and we want to educate. So because of my journey, I've been supporting that process, if you like.
Fantastic.
And also, I've recently done an article for the medical specialist group about my journey as well, because it's so prevalent.
So how can we be more menopausal aware? How can dinosaurs like me be more aware of what ladies have to go through? And it could be people that are younger that don't even know her. How can we help other people on their journeys sooner? Where to go for help, who to talk to? Yeah. How can we help?
Well, I think, as I was saying earlier before we went online, menopause was never spoken about by my mum or by my gran. It was a very kind of closed book. Communication, talking, and for guys as well. Like, guys need to know what's going on because it affects them. You go through hell, especially when you don't know what's going on with your wife.
I think you read, whether we mentioned this or not, but you said to me you woke up with a knife in your hand or something.
I did. I just didn't like the way he was cutting the carrots, so I just went... That sounds really crazy, but...
Not at all. No, my daughter was having psychotic episodes and it was completely unexplainable. And it's, if you do things because of what's happening in your body, you're not in control of your mind and your body.
No.
And that's scary.
It's totally scary, and with the physical things that are going on. All in one go, I was having night sweats. I'm type 1 diabetic, so hypo symptoms are actually quite similar. So if I'd wake up in the night and my bed was drenched, absolutely drenched, so much so I'd have to change the bed, have a shower, wash my hair in the middle of the night with work the next day. Well, having a hypo is something quite similar symptoms. The only difference was my blood sugar was fine. But I just presumed, again, the penny didn't drop because I was fine by the medics. The penny didn't drop that actually causing this was something else, not my diabetes. So then you get fatigue, and as you all know, when we're tired, we get confused, we get muggy-headed. The anxiety was just something else. I'm a very anxious person anyway, but have I left my hair straighteners on, and I would feel sick to the stomach. Oh my God, I've left my hair straighteners on, and then I'd hear a siren go past the office. And I'm like, oh my God, are they going in my way? Oh my God, I've got to go home. And when you think back, it was really real. And just crazy little things like, have I packed my insulin with me? I'd be checking my bag, thinking, oh, I've got my insulin with me. And then on the kind of brain foggy days, and I'd forget to do something or bring something with me to a meeting, which was really like the key part of the meeting, I was like, I can't believe I've done it. And I used to cut myself up. If I did something which is, in the grand scheme of things, an admin error or something, I used to just take it home, ruin my weekend, thinking I'm useless. Why did I do that?
Are you better now, though?
Oh, God, yeah. Yes, I'm much better. Good old HRT, my absolute saviour.
So HRT, what is HRT?
So when you're going through this stage of your life, your estrogen is taming off. So what it means is your body's not producing enough eggs and what have you. But obviously estrogen has effect on lots of different parts of your body. So obviously I was in estrogen deficit for a long time. But when I had my diagnosis, went on the estrogel. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different methods of taking HRT, from patches, gels. I think there's a spray. I don't know anyone who's on the spray. And slapping this gel on my thighs every night before I went to bed, and I did feel a lot better. But when you need to take estrogen, you also have to take progesterone.
Right.
Varney said to me, let's try the coil. They use the coil, the Mirena coil, for contraception, but it's also a good HRT method, because what it means is you don't have to take a tablet, it's just releasing. I went on the Mirena many years ago for contraception, and it didn't agree with me. I kept bleeding, so I was a bit sceptical.
Okay, not too much blood. I'll pass that up. Seriously, blood is my friend. I'll be on the floor. Like when my wife gave birth, I was lying on the floor. I was gone. Go on, carry on, because I can't concentrate when I'm talking about blood.
Yeah, so it wasn't a method for me. So I tried different things, the pessaries. And
this was once you had the diagnosis or leading up. So you had the diagnosis, then you have the treatment. Yeah. But for 10 years you had no diagnosis, no treatment, and you were just trying to survive.
And then finding the right balance for your...
And you stayed married through the whole journey?
Just.
I had 18 months of hell with my daughter. So to have 10 years of you not knowing and feeling different, and knowing you felt different but didn't know why you felt different, and searching for an answer must have been horrendous. And
now I did go through this really angry phase of, I've been robbed of my 30s, the best years of your life, when you're at that age where you've got a little bit more of a stronger mind because you've had a bit of life experience. But then I just feel, and I still feel angry about it as well sometimes. Why did that have to happen to me? But it did happen. And it's going to happen to a lot of you ladies out there. So we need to tackle this and just team up together and help each other out. When I was going through my journey, I joined a lot of early menopause Facebook groups and things. I've met some really good friends, actually. A great lady I met, an American lady, she lives in Germany, she's my age, going through the same symptoms. And we made great friends.
Well, that's the thing, I think, is for me, it's finding other people that you can talk to who are experiencing exactly what you're experiencing, and you both know what you're experiencing and you can talk about it.
But the problem is, though, Paul, is when it's so subtle as it was, you don't actually know. And this is what I'm saying, you need to shout it from the rooftops if you're getting any of those symptoms, and believe me, there's a lot of them.
So ladies, if you're having subtle changes, talk about it. Sally's going to be available. Comment below. We can introduce you to each other. If you're noticing subtle changes that you don't understand, then I think what I'm learning, the best thing is to talk.
Absolutely. 100%. We'll all get through this. Let's face it, it happens to 50% of the population, and there are a lot more women out there who are young when this happened. Gone are those days where 51 is the average age. 51 was the average age 100 years ago, where ladies would have their menopause and they would die soon after. So there wasn't a need for the amount of HRT that we need now. We need that help.
HRT, so I've done a little bit of research before meeting you today, and I understand that sometimes poor ladies have to seek black market solutions on the internet because they can't get the HRT they need. Why can they not get the HRT? Why can people not get the HRT they need?
I think it's because it's a lot more talked about and taken more seriously. So a lot of ladies now are realising, okay, this is happening to me. So there's more of a demand and therefore a supply issue.
So why is there supply? Why can't people get the treatment they need? Well, I don't understand. So
I don't know, because it saved my life, and to the point where I actually have the estrogen implant, which cost me £500. But I would rather have that and spend out that money than risk not having it. I've been to the chemist. Oh, we haven't got any. Go to so and so. Go to so and so. We live on an island. No HRT in the island, and you're just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to get through this?
if you're feeling anxious about your predicament and challenge, and you have moments when you're holding a knife, people probably get killed if they haven't got their HRT. They haven't got the stuff that they need to help them. How do you survive?
Well, why do you think ladies hundreds of years ago who got put in mental asylums?
Wow.
I know people who have gone to the doctor, had a similar kind of response, and has actually gone on the internet and to self-medicate. And that's even riskier because you don't know exactly what it is. You'd rather a medical specialist tell you should be doing X, Y, Z rather than just taking matters into your own hands. My friend and I, we found a couple of years ago now, but this gel, and you put it in the crease of your arm, and it was quite pricey at the time, but we were like, we'll give anything a go. We'll give anything a go.
Did it help though, or not? Or
it didn't for me.
Right.
My friend said that it helped her, but then she was in a very different stage of
Right.
her journey to what I was. Like I say, I was post, she was just starting. So I think it was a bridging treatment for her at the time. She's now since gone on to HRT and is doing really well.
I'm just shocked. Just what ladies have to go through in their lives is, as a male's perspective, you just don't even think about it at all.
No.
If you're busy running a business and kids, you don't really think about.
But a lot of guys do get affected by this as well when their partners and their wives are
Divorce, probably.
Divorce, and just their partner changing to somebody who they don't recognise, who they married.
I'm speechless. It takes a lot to.
And this is the thing as well. I think guys need to be educated and look out so they can help support as well.
Is there support for men to how to help their partners and loved ones, or not? I've got no idea.
I think the first step is to get the support to the people who are suffering with it. That's going to be the next thing. But I'm sure people are talking about it. I do know the local menopause group. There's a group, and they meet every so often, and they did do an event. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. Where I think they got the ladies into one room, and the guys into the bar area. So it was a bit of a blokey atmosphere with a beer and what have you. And so to just try and educate, so they can understand and help. If there's a lot of things they could probably help with as well.
I think it's understanding,
Understanding and realising, and that your partner's not turned into a monster. This is just life.
Wow. So how can we help other people? So obviously talking, access to medication, diagnosis.
There's lots of groups out there on social media. Just search them. Some of them are a bit out there, but there are some really good ones. That's helped me a lot.
Sally, tell me, which groups would you join to get the help that you need?
First and foremost, your local group. There's something out there. We've got our Guernsey Menopause group. That was really nice actually to be with people in a room who they were all different ages. I was the youngest one there, but actually going through it. And I was just looking at Facebook forums and just seeing what was out there. I found some really good ones. Like I say, I've met some friends through there. The Dr. Newsom menopause page and app is absolutely fantastic because you can mentor. The Dr. Newsom app is absolutely fantastic because you can tailor it to your personal symptoms, because everybody has their own individual symptoms. And I use that app even now all the time just to get information. But I think the key thing is us girls have to start talking about this and teaming up and being together.
What about, so for me, one of my saviours and for my daughter was cold water treatment therapy. If you're having anxious moments, cold water sea swimming for me was a great helping my daughter. And did you try other things, that alternatives? I know that a lot of people in Sweden jump in the cold lake and then jump in the sauna and they swear by it, but I don't know. Is there things that you do now?
I wouldn't do sea swimming pool because it's freezing in the summer, let alone.
But you wanted to go to Toronto.
I know that was a crazy moment.
Okay, but it's the Caribbean. You're a Caribbean lady.
Caribbean girl, yeah.
Okay.
What did I do? So I took a lot of research on natural remedies. Ashwagandha, I don't know if you've heard of that.
I have, yeah.
Which really helps with brain fog and energising, and actually that did help some.
And what sort of dose were you taking? And were you taking it daily?
Yeah, I think I was taking about 500 milligrams a day. I still take it. I just take 2 of the big capsules every day. I still take it.
So ashwagandha was good for brain fog. So ladies, again, ashwagandha, 500 milligrams. It worked for Sally.
1,500.
1,500.
I think it was 1,500.
Wow. Okay, we'll check in the comments below and fact check that later.
Yeah.
And that helped with brain fog.
Yeah, and then the skin, because the old wrinkles set in, and I know that's an age thing.
I can't believe you look so young, yeah, wrinkles.
Oh, I know, but my skin completely changed, and I was worried that I was going to just grow facial hair and all these horror stories that you hear. So I...
Okay, so you were thinking you're going to grow hair because of the medication you were taking?
Well, not so much the medication, but just it's that stigma with the menopause, isn't it? You know, when you give Granny a kiss and you can feel her whiskers on your chin, kind of thing, you know. And I was like, that's going to happen to me. I'm only in my 30s.
We're laughing and smiling, but I can't. I'm shocked, really.
Yeah. But I take collagen as well.
Okay, what's that? Educate me again.
So I take a marine collagen tablet supplement from the health shop, but I also take collagen powder to help with like my skin and also my joints, because my joints, I've got a joint condition anyway, but just menopause and joints, that goes hand in hand. I was struggling with that as well. So I still take those. I've tried all sorts over the years. I forget the name of it, but something to hydrate you from within. I forget the name of it.
So you were looking at lots of different alternatives. So collagen and rehydration powders, magnesium, so lots of things that. And did you?
And multivitamins.
Yeah.
Multivitamins. When I went to the health shop and said, "This is what's happening to me," she said, "Here, take these." She said, "They're multivitamins for the 50 plus," and I was like, 50 plus? What? But they had all the essential nutrients and vitamins in that I needed for my journey.
So something that I did, we looked at stool samples. So when my daughter was on, we did stool samples, which was unheard of, to analyse what was coming out, to look at deficiencies. Did you go that far in your journey to analyse diet, because food is so important? Did you look at that much?
No, I didn't. Like I said, I've always struggled with my weight. I've always been up and down. However, weirdly, I know a lot of ladies struggle with their weight when they go on HRT and start this journey, but I've actually lost about 3.5 stone. I just don't, since I've had my hysterectomy, so that progesterone requirement is no longer there, I don't seem to crave carbs like I used to. So for me, that's thank goodness there's one good thing that's come out with it.
How do you survive? It's just learning. I think each person has a journey, and we've just got to find what works.
Yeah,
for
and
you.
remember, everybody is individual. I'm not the same as my friend or the next lady. Your symptoms are very individual. Your HRT and your medication is very individual. Everybody's different. What works for one that may not work for the next one. So it's really important that you get advice from a good specialist to get you on the right track.
And can you get blood tests and tests to really analyse what's your makeup? And if you're deficient in certain things, is there tests that you can take so you need more of this or this? I don't know. I'm trying to.
It's a good question. I don't know, if I'm honest with you. It wasn't something that was ever offered to me. But because I'm like heavily invested in like my health and well-being, I always eat a good diet, balanced diet, do my exercise. I'm out dog walking every day, that kind of thing. So maybe at the time they didn't feel that was something that I needed, but of course, as you say, it's so important to keep your body healthy and get all those nutrients in.
I just don't know whether there is a set level that's the right level. You know, with our balance of our bodies all being different, you might need certain levels of certain things. So if taking multivitamins, magnesium, obviously there may be a deficiency in your diet, that all your body isn't processing what you are getting, because maybe A, it's not organic, or B, it's super processed. I don't know. It's kind of like, for me, I've been on a journey and studied so much about food, what you eat, how you exercise, and then studying what comes out to really look at what's going on inside, because everyone's different.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be definitely something, if you are struggling to be, and you're not getting your nutrients in, then that would be the first place I would start, actually, is to ensure that you are getting that in. Because if things improve by doing that, then tick, isn't it? It's a win.
What about alcohol? Did you drink much, do much? Or, because for me, I couldn't drink, but I tried to drink to cover the challenges I had. What did you do to survive? I mean,
I do drink alcohol. I do like a glass of wine or two or three.
But were you having a bottle or two just to cope, or to try and get through?
A couple of years ago, with lockdown as well, you get into this kind of rut. You're feeling like
crap,
really terrible. I was getting like a glass of wine a night, and then half a bottle, and then a bottle. And it wasn't until I had to have spinal surgery last year, completely unrelated, and that I was on a lot of like heavy meds and what have you. And I was like, no, I'm not drinking with this. But since I used to be quite a drinker, but weirdly, since I've been on my HRT and I'm feeling so good, I can't seem to drink alcohol like I used to. I mean, I could easily sink a bottle of wine and get up the next morning and go to work and not have any symptoms, whereas now I'm like,
No, I can't drink at all now, really.
I don't know whether it's an age thing or whether it's the menopause.
Well, I'm 53. I'm old. I'm getting old. I'm 53 years young, and for me, I just don't process alcohol anymore. The only drink I drink is tequila. That's the only drink that doesn't raise your blood pressure or your heart rate.
Yeah.
So I found, but I can't drink any other alcoholic drink. I just feel sick.
It's funny, isn't it?
So whether it's maturity, I don't know. I don't know the answer. Everyone's different. It's interesting that you've had challenges, and my doctor said to me, my body can't process alcohol anymore. It just can't deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's one of those things with, you look at how you were before the journey, you look at the 10, 15 years of the journey, and you look at it now, and you think, okay, so now I've got my head around all this and I'm in a good place with my HRT and mentally I'm good, is you do get angry that you've not the person you used to be, but I'm the person I am now, and I've got the tools, I feel good, I'm thriving in life, and that's all thanks to HRT and getting myself on track. I can't go back and think, well, what's the point of being angry about going through this at the age I was? I've gone through there, I've been there, done it, but there's no point. I am who I am now. I'm a different Sally to what I was 10 years ago. I'm a different Sally to what I was 20 years ago. Different Sally to what I was 20 years ago. So this is the Sally now, and this is why I'm here today, to say this is what it is, and this is the outcome when you're out on the other side. And I'm still going to have my challenges with it, and I still do, please don't get me wrong. But it's just a lot more easy to think, oh, bloody hot flush, I'm like this at work and what have you.
It's hard to imagine.
But even 6 months, a year ago, if I was struggling with a symptom like that at work, I would go to the bathroom and just behind closed doors. But now I'm a bit like, here we go again.
Talking about it and being open about it rather than hiding about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of workplaces now are educating their staff on the menopause, and guys as well, because not only does it affect women's partners, but it also affects their colleagues as well. So we are very heavily invested in doing that educating our employees. And there are, I know because I'm involved with it with my work with seminars and what have you, there's a lot of other businesses as well who are investing time to get people in to talk about it to all their staff, not just to women. So like you said before, there's one thing of realising and coming to terms that this is happening to you, but it could be happening to your partner and it could be happening to your colleague as well. And we work long hours together, so it's just as important for them to be educated and to understand, and that it's nothing personal when we have our crazy moments.
No, it's incredible. Fantastic. Yeah. Lost for words today. Very unusual. So Sally, how did you survive emotionally with all of this? Because for me it just sounds absolutely horrendous.
The emotional symptoms or thoughts I had were really tough. I've never really wanted children. Like I say, my career's always been like the first and forefront in my life. But when that choice is taken away from you, I had a real wobble. And of course, they had to have that conversation of, do you want kids? You'd need an egg donor, all that stuff, which I actually found really tough, even though I didn't want kids. But about the last year prior to diagnosis, I remember we were at a birthday party and just sobbed in the corner. My friend came, she said, what on earth's the matter? I went, I want a baby. She was like, Sally, where are you going? I was like, I know I never wanted them, but tonight I do. So it was that kind of that option being taken away was huge for me. The other thing as well was just like my loss of femininity. I liked my hair, my nails, my makeup. And then you hear these stories of you're going to grow facial hair and you're going to go really dry skin and all those kind of awful things.
But they're not true, huh?
They're not true.
Come on, let's just... It's not going to...
They don't have to be true if you don't want them to. No, they're not true. But obviously educating myself, actually, with today's medicine and support that's out there, you don't have to go through that. The other thing as well, which really affected me, and pre-warning to you, Paul, is when I had my hysterectomy, they obviously took my womb and my ovaries away. And I went home, my hormone, obviously I'm completely gone off hormones now. And I was like, I want my womb back. I want it back, where is it? So I was like, oh, what happened was actually, I asked my specialist if I could have pictures of it, because I really love science and gross stuff like that, unlike you.
Okay.
and she sent me these pictures, and I was taking pictures on my phone so I could take them away and look. And I was like, that's my womb. That's my womb. Where is it? Where is it? And I was like, it's in a laboratory in the UK. And I was like, I wonder which one it is. I'm going to email them and I'll find out where they send it to.
Wow.
And then I found myself on the internet looking for flights to the UK to get my womb back.
Wow.
And that is, like, when I look back, it's almost laughable. But at the time, the emotion, it was just like my femininity had been taken away through something at such a young age.
I shocked, lost for words. Honestly, it's just horrendous. It's just hard to believe that people suffer so badly and so much, and also alone and having no one to talk to.
But also as well, Paul, this will happen to every single woman, and that's a fact. We're all going to go through it.
So Sally, this sounds horrendous for you to have experienced, but again, I did a little bit of research, and for some people it's not like that at all. Some people just have flushes and minor things. What can other people expect or experience?
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right. My kind of journey's been exceptional, really. But a lot of ladies I can just deal with a hot flush and then it's going to go after a couple of years. But it's the smaller symptoms. Dry eye syndrome, that is just horrendous. That is, I have to take eye drops. I've got eye drops everywhere, like in my desk at work, in my car, by my bed. Just those kind of things are horrendous. The skin changes, all of those kind of symptoms, which to some women might not be an issue. They might not get it or it might not bother them. But for me, it was absolutely extreme. Whilst a lot of women are going to probably breeze through this, great if you can breeze through it, but there are also going to be a lot of women who are going to go through what I've been going through.
I can't. I'm very shocked, to be honest. Yeah, I just thank you so much for sharing today, and if people need help, Sally's going to be available. I can introduce you personally, and always thank you for being on the channel and thank you for joining. You can subscribe, share, but the most important thing is if we can help someone, even if we help one person, it's been amazing. So Sally, thank you so much.
No problem at all, and I'd love to hear from you all.
Yeah, no, please, let's see if we can share, talk, educate more people about the menopause, and so many people may be suffering in silence. So please, as always, talk to someone, talk to a friend, reach out to Sally, just talk.
Yeah, definitely. And I think communication, it can only be easier with, what's the saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. So even if you've got somebody to talk to, or just, even a stranger, like I say, I've made strangers with friends who are going through the same journey, and it helps so much, so much. You don't have to be on your own with this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.